Okay. October 17th, 2025. 4:23 in the morning. This medicine, the second medicine that I'm supposed to be taking, I don't know. It's like 2 times a day. I can't get the hours right because I don't have regular schedule hours. So anyway, I just took a drop now. I'll try and take one around 4. I try and break them up every 12 hours, but anyway. Okay, Canada is completely effed. Here's why everyone's struggling. Alright, there's just 2 things I want you to see so far. I'm watching it, right? I just started, I'll bring it up. And this woman's talking about ostriches on an ostrich farm up and around my area, British Columbia, Canada. Probably not too far in terms of the district. With the government trying to, well, they're not trying to, they're going to kill them all just because they can.
So as some of you may have...
Let's turn it up just a bit. The kids are sleeping, so I don't want to wake them up.
heard, the BCL ostrich farm lost their case. They have to cull 400 birds. 400 healthy birds. Let me add this. 400 healthy birds that we don't eat. Yeah. Plus pay a whole bunch of fines. Yeah. From our federal government. This is the crew. Yeah. That would murder birds, chase down and hunt down birds, then catch the pedophiles.
Exactly. The ones that like to lure little girls off the street for snuff movies.
The criminals, the arsonists, the murderers, the breaking out.
Yeah, let the murderers walk. So the body snatchers can come in and snatch up on those bodies. For illegal organ harvesting, that is. And taking out other body parts like teeth and using the skin for their robotoids.
Adventure thieves in Canada. Let's go after those birds and feel like a winner today. Fuck, I hate this fucking government. I'm so sorry to those people. Jesus Christ, this needs to end.
The fact that you've been convinced that Canada's economy's in the shitter due to Donald J. Trump is a little disconcerting. The truth is, we're in the shitter because of 10 years of Justin Trudeau's disastrous liberal policies.
Yeah, what's up with this Canadian government? I don't really want to just say Mark Carney. I know you're all in on it. You're all family members. You're all fucking your elite, probably kid blood drinking fucking cunts that you all are. But why are you...
Yeah, we have a lot of devil worshippers out in Canada. We sure do.
You're giving $60 million to Asia to fix their problems and flooding our country with immigrants. And you're not giving me shit. You're not helping anyone else. Because, what? Because your kike masters tell you that to do that? Go fuck yourself, you Canadian government scumbag, pieces of shit, fucking traitor. Every one of you should be hung from a fucking tree for treason. Fuck you.
Okay, this is what I wanted you to see. This is a food bank. Food bank line. Toronto, Ontario. Now you can see better than me. And people want to harass me with my food preps? Okay. I see stuff like this, and then I feel grateful that I took the time to do what I did and spend the money and put up with the criticism and just the whole 9 yards.
Where the fuck?
Yeah, Okay, we're in trouble. I'm just looking, not that I can see this much as well as I used to, alright? But if you look at here, $4.99 a pound for blade steak. Oh my God, and I thought I put my canner away. Oh, pork. Yeah, that's why. I don't want that. No. $4.99 a pound. Well, that's what you want for luncheon meat and stuff. Seriously. Yeah. You could make lunch meat with that. And just grind it up and freeze it, but I have no real room in my freezer, so that ain't gonna happen. I'd have to can it and make it into ground pork. Maybe fry it off first a bit. Yeah. And then you want that for your sandwich meat as well as just solid pork, right? Like something with less fat. 80% with less fat, 20% with more fat. All right, for the standard deli meat and sausage and that kind of thing. Yeah. I'm trying to put the canner away. I don't know. I'll think about it. See? What is that? What does that say? I can't even read it. Round roast. Oh my God. $10.99 a pound. Oh, what's this one? Beef is getting so expensive. Top sirloin steak, $12.99 a pound. Yeah. What else they got there? That's about it. So when you can get it at $4.99 a pound, even if it's pork. Wow. In China, they're having a problem with, they call it zombie meat, because there's a pig disease that's going through all the farms, and it's bringing down the prices. It's bringing down the prices. Let's just go to beef. It's bringing down the prices of pork, where the market's been flooded with diseased meat, and people are buying it in droves, where when they get it home and they unthaw it, it doesn't even look like meat. So you better get your pork on, yeah, before that disease hits Canada, and then pork prices will go up right along with the beef. Yeah. And just to show you, look, beef stew meat at $11.99 a pound. That's ridiculous. That should be the cheapest meat next to hamburger. So yeah, when they have the roasts on sale like this at $6.99, it's basically at $7.99 now when it's on sale. Okay, and they come in on a double pack, right? That's when I spend $300-400. Right now it's $53.77, $13.49 a pound. That's crazy. Okay, so you can forget about the beef. It's just way too expensive. But for whatever reason, I don't know, they got this pork picnic halves at $2.99 a pound. So here you can get something for 2 pounds basically, right? Just a little less than 2 pounds. $2.99 a pound for that. And then here, pork stew, oh no, not that one. Which one was I looking at? Well, there's this is what they've got on sale right now. Pork shoulder blade club pack at $4.99 a pound. Okay, so, and then up here, if you look here, pork loin half boneless frozen, right, $16 at $3 a pound. So that's pretty good. So that's your base. If I wanted to make, you know, luncheon meat. Yeah, right? Just another detour, I'm just saying. Because the way I'm looking at it right now, these prices seem to be pretty damn cheap when it's like $2.99 a pound. Pork picnic halves. And whatever you don't use for the luncheon meat, you can grind it up. Now, I wish I could find my old grinder. Oh, I so hope Rhea didn't steal it. I haven't found it yet. I can either do it manually by hand with the old crank kind, or I can dig into the bathroom and bring out the other meat grinder that I've never used yet. It's brand new in the box. And we can attempt to use that one. And the reason I bought that one was because back in the day, when I was thinking about doing cat food, you know, you want to grind up like chicken bones and turkey bones and stuff, right? Raw. So you need a really strong meat grinder to do that. That's why I bought that, was for that specific reason. Because ultimately I like my old school grinder, but I can't find that. So in the meantime, what's this one? $7.49. I ain't worried about that. That's not what I'm looking at. I'm looking for those cheap deals. And, you know, for what it's worth, what's this one right here? Pork loin combo chops, $4.99 a pound. Okay. So what would I choose? Well, I'd go for the cheapest of the cheap. Pork picnic halves. I'd also choose, I mean, I could do one of those. Pork shoulder blade club pack. Pick up one, right? It's on sale, right? And then I'd pick up one of these. Pork loin half boneless frozen at $3 a pound. Right? Yeah. And then I'd just process it. I would make the luncheon meats, at least 2 of them. I could go back to back and then freeze them because I'm not in the mood to be mucking around with nitrates right now. Right? I'm not in the mood to be mucking around with nitrates because, you know, I'm overstimulated. And we're not feeling that great on here. We're all exhausted and tired and worn out. And, you know, Andre's recuperating from his bacterial flu that he picked up from somewhere. He's thinking it's either something that he ate at the night market because it was some meat patty that was just whatever, and or he was eating squid and sushi and Mod Podge of everything, not to mention what he ate at that party that same day. Because he went to the birthday party first, ate a bunch of junk food, pizza, this, that, and everything, and then started bouncing around in that trampoline with 50 other kids. And then that evening he went out with Marcane, went to a night market and was eating sushi and squid and these little meat pocket things. And so anyway, he ended up getting that 24-hour puking quote-unquote flu, which is not a flu, it's a bacteria. So far, Amari hasn't gotten it, God forbid, because he's constipated. And if he gets that, and he gets with the runs yet to boot, if that kicks in, it's going to be a seizure moment, because that's what happened one time when he got a seizure from that situation. I figured out what the trigger was after the fact, but when you know, the seizure comes, you don't think about it until you, like, what triggered it. And of course, I'm just worn out and tired and really angry with my eye doctor for irritating this eye to the point where it's like awful. So, Andre picked a few things for, to relieve muscle strain, because he's got that pinched nerve. He asked me to, and I already had him go online, and he's got a little, few things, heating pad to put on, and the rub for that kind of stuff on the cart. So he asked me, he says, it's really sore, Nana, like I can barely move my arm. I'm like, okay. So I think I have to make an order here just to get that, right? And if I'm going to do that, well, what else am I going to order? And there's only so many things that I Google, well, do on a search engine for food. Canned salmon is one of them. If it's on sale, I'll pick up a few more sockeye. I don't want the pink, just the sockeye, right? That's that mental therapy. Forget about beef, I'm out, but the pork, right? And I mean, like, just buy. Okay, my bill is at something like $37 right now, or something like that. So let's just add the pork in there. We'll do the pork shoulder halves. We'll pick out one for now. It says $6.59. I don't know what, doesn't seem like it would be very much. And then we're going to add in, what was it? For $4.99, the one that's on sale. So we'll definitely get one of those. And that's the pork shoulder blade club pack. And I saved something like $3.50. Okay, so we'll get one of those. And then we're going to get the frozen pork loin half, boneless, at $3 a pound. And it's coming in at $16. So that's what? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. So we got at least 5 pounds and a bit of that. So that should be more than enough, I would think. Right? I'm not sure if I'm going to do this yet. But the prices are reasonable in terms of, if you want to make lunch meat, I'm sure you could find a way with the types of things that I'm choosing from. Pork picnic halves. One each. I'd probably get a couple more at $2.99 a pound. Or at least one more. And we'll see what else they got here. And then they've got pork loin combo chops at $4.99 a pound. That's not what I want. If this would be for processing to make lunch meat, and then if depending on how much comes in, maybe I'll grind it up and I'll just fry it up a little bit like you would hamburger, degrease it a bit, and then I'd can it ground. That's what I would do for the leftover after the luncheon meat. And the luncheon meat, you can make it, that slicer that works really good. I told my son next time you can borrow the slicer, slice it for yourself, and you can freeze them in between wax paper or tinfoil or whatever, and use them as sandwich meats for on top of bread with gravy and stuff. Like, that's good, right? Or you can just take the whole chunk and freeze it if you don't want to eat it all at one time after the fact of making it, right? And because it has no nitrates in it, it will freeze good. And even if it had nitrates in it, you can still freeze it for a little while, right? Okay, what's this? $7.90. Yeah, no, this is just a cheap, beyond the cheap. You don't need to do $7.49 for a Lethbridge pork loin center cut roast. Although that's probably what you'd want, is just straight up meat for your lunch meat, right? But you can also make luncheon meat a little more fatty. It is possible. So just see it as a learning. Oh, here's something for $2 a pound, $2.99 a pound. Pork side ribs. No, I don't want ribs. And honestly, I'm not in the mood to be working with But I don't want to give up on that luncheon meat. And being that it's pork, all I have to do is find the other box with the handheld saucer maker with the casings and everything. I think it's in front of the playroom door, because it used to be in my bedroom and I moved it out. Well, it used to be in the bathroom, and then I moved it into my bedroom to keep it cool, and then I moved it out as I was moving in other things. I have the ham with the whatever, and right, but there's another box with it, and it has 2 little kits to make hot dogs, already pre-seasoned, everything. I have the casings, all that, and a little handheld one that you use to fill up the casing to make, you know. I gotta look in the hall today and see if I can find that box, because if I find that box, maybe we'll make sausages instead, or maybe hot dogs. And if we don't, we can still make deli meat. Yeah. Good. Because once you decide to do that kind of stuff, you don't want to lose the momentum on it. In other words, you don't want to just make it once and say, whatever. You know, you want to kind of continue to make it so that you get good at it. And then once you start getting good at it, then you can get creative with it, right? And you can do, you know, like those, make fish. You can, that little ham thing, you can make vegetable luncheon meat, vegan, I guess you call it, a vegan luncheon meat with those things. If you want to do fish, something with fish, you can do that. Okay, it doesn't have to be pork, chicken, beef, whatever, turkey, lamb, duck, doesn't matter. It could be anything, really. Right? Pork soy line at $4.99 a pound, out of stock. I don't have to worry about that. So I might just order a whole bunch of fatty meat. I might. I got jars. So if I need jars, it's not like I don't have them. All right. Let's see, where do you put it after the fact? Well, I kind of know. Maybe it will motivate me to get into the playroom and start picking away at the playroom, because it's going to be a big chore. But once it's done, it will be nice. And I'll start right by the corner where the freezer is, so that I can stack my jars in there, because it'll be close to the freezer. So at some point, lower down where the motor is, no, it will be warm. But up high, right, the cold air, like the freezer itself, like to touch it, is cool. So that will help to keep the jars cool, especially if you put them on a rack and then you hang a cloth over them. So it's almost like you create a little mini fridge, right? And that will be perfect. So maybe I should do this to motivate me to start working on the boutique that has a little bit of meat in it, in terms of like the freezer is there, and then the one shelf. And I actually got jars of chicken and a whole bunch of cans, pie cans, like pie filling in cans, like blueberry, strawberry, all those kind, right? At the very bottom shelf, I have video on it way back in the day. It's been a couple of years now, so I need to get in there and check those jars. So, you know, corned beef and everything, just okay. And then I canned chicken, I remember. So they're in pint-sized jars on top of these cans, and I need to get in there and, you know, fight with the spiders and make sure nothing's popped, and you know, I'd like to start using it, right? So that's another reason why I need to get up in there and get busy. If I do this, it will motivate me, because I need a place for these jars. That's why. Well, I won't take them downstairs. No, there's no point, because it needs to be organized down there, and sometimes it's nice just to have this stuff upstairs for convenience, right? And stuff like this, if I grind up the leftover and just turn it into like a ground pork, just degrease it a bit, fry it up a bit, saute it, whatever. Just take out the juices after the fact. If you want to save the juice, you know, versus throwing it out with the fat, you just take the juice, put it in the fridge, let the fat come to the surface, take it off, and then take that, it would be collagen juicy kind of, and put it back into your ground beef. And then when you're ready to can it, then you just warm it up, put it into, okay, and you can just use water after the fact if you wanted to. Because I'm not making no broth. God forbid, I'm not in the mood for that. Although I think I do have a rack of ribs in my freezer, which might be a good idea to stew them to get at least a base of a broth. There's an idea. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I have that rack of ribs in my upper freezer here, which I wouldn't mind using up. And then the ribs themselves, I'll just bake them in the convection oven with a bit of barbecue sauce. You could do that in about 3 or 4 days, because this wouldn't get delivered till tomorrow, and I've got 2 to 3 days to process as much as I can, especially if one is frozen and you put them together where the raw ones are with the frozen one, what makes it even colder. And usually the meat that comes in from Canadian Superstore is pretty good, because with pork you have a little bit less time. You know, beef, you can stretch it out over a week in terms of processing it, cutting it, put it in the fridge, make your broth, by the time you're done, you're going into the 5th, 6th day sometimes, depending on how much meat you're processing at one time. Or pork, you kind of want to do it within a 2 or 3 day span. You know, 4 is, you know, you'd smell, right, if it was no good. No, obviously you'd be throwing out money, eh? But if it's frozen, that buys you an extra 2 days. So I'm working with frozen and non-frozen, so, you know. But it would be worth it at that price. And it would motivate me. I'd have no choice but to get into that playroom and start dealing with the organization part of it. Yeah, because that's what needs to be done. So when you do mental therapy, you kind of want to do it where it's a little bit like to solve problems. Right? Drinking doesn't solve problems. You know what I'm saying? In terms of some people, you know, they use that to self-medicate themselves, eh? So that they, you know, whatever. And then, of course, it's like any addiction. It can overtake you, right? Where this is more controlled, even though I suppose some people would say it's unnecessary because, you know, I've already got a full house of food. But at the end of the day, it's affordable. That's the first thing. Clearly you can see that. And for whatever reason, you know, that's a good price, and normally it's not at that price. So, you know, you want to be a little bit of an opportunist. And it's not like I don't have a plan for it in terms of I can make sausages, I can make hot dogs, or I could make lunch and deli meat, plus I can some depending on how much comes in. So that's like 4 different options that I can use, right? It just requires energy and time. That's it. And a little bit of patience. But then I can use it as a means to motivate me to do something that I want to do it, but it's frustrating even to think about it because there's not enough room to do what I want to do easily. In other words, it goes to, like what Tisha would say, why do you want me moving this from this pile and then having to move it back? That's a waste of time. Just chuck it out. Well, no. Sometimes you have to move things in order to fix something over there, and because wherever you move that shit to can't stay there, you have to move it back until you can figure out where you're going to put it later on. it's a progression, right? And basically what I want to do in terms of that progression, okay, let me put it to you this way. We have a lot of homeschool stuff, which I kind of have to bring together under one umbrella, which will be more towards my front door, where behind the little grow room that I had for the tomato plants and all that, to which I have to get in there and water my aloe vera plants because I haven't done that for a while, God forbid if they died. But anyway, behind that silver stuff, which I will dismantle, I already told my son, I don't really want to, but I'm going to dismantle it. But that silver stuff I don't want thrown out. It's going to have to go into the shed in a good plastic bag for when I want to put together another little grow room for whatever reason. Because I don't want to have to buy that shit no more, and it works really good as a reflector. Okay. So that I can get behind it, and what's behind it is there's 2 wall units in there. One is full of sewing beads and wood beads and that kind of stuff, and sewing books, right? I know that for a fact. And that kind of shit, right? Maybe trims, just whatever. And then another bookshelf is full of nothing but homeschool, with a whole section, a whole shelf of nothing but science books, children's science books at different ages. And then below that are a bunch of cans with those Kinder Surprises, with a lot of that stuff are shells, because, you know, I was thinking to do things with the kids in the community at some point, and or whatever, and so they've just been sitting there. And I mean, Alea May and Kyrie can make their shell pictures. Maybe Amari could make a shell picture. Maybe Andre would like a shell picture. Even if they did their shell pictures, I'm still going to have a lot of shells, which can fall under homeschooling category. So what I want to do is take all those science books, anything that's basically kid related or homeschool related, and put them closer by the front door, and empty out the white wall unit that's there, that has all my books with legislation in them, and the medical files of Shmei and Amari, and I have Tisha's medical files, my medical files, legislated, you know, when I was right over just the fights I've had with Andre, fighting for him and reading. I have old copies of the legislation, of the 2 different types of legislation, so that when you go to the provincial court fighting for your grandchild, you're dealing with 2 separate types of legislation within that particular department when it comes to, you know, fighting for your grandkid. One is the Family Act, and the other one is the Community something something. I'd probably change names because it's been quite a few years, but I don't want to get rid of that legislation because at least it's the base. And then, of course, legislation that related to Uncle John, the, you know, Patient Property Act, and the Guardian and Trustee Act, and freaking whatever act, and there's a whole bunch of them in there, a whole bunch. So I'm thinking to take those. I can't really put them downstairs, right? So I'm thinking to take those and put them where those science books are and where those shelves are, so that I at least have them if I need them. If I need them. Not that I can read and see them as time goes by, but just in case that I need them. You know, because there's a lot there. And then that way I've moved all the science, and there's a lot of them. And I've got other ones speckled around, right? So that when I put it up for sale with Andre, you know, people will be, you got any kids' science books? Oh yeah, we got a whole bunch to choose from. Here they all are. Just pick what you want. And they should be already logged. I'm hoping that Andre will be able to get with the program, log them down, put a price on them. I'll teach him how to log things in whether we do it in chronological order by title or what. I just know that they need to be logged, and when people come, they don't have to come trampling through my house. They can just come to the front door. I just have to open up a wall unit, and they can pick what they want if they haven't already ordered it online. And then that little area where I've got the grow room, which is actually what, War Room 1, War Room 2, War Room 1. My bedroom was War Room 1 with Sierra, so that'd be War Room 2. When I was fighting hard for Uncle John. And just keep that computer handy. I like that computer when I'm fighting a war. I almost wanted to get in there and get to that computer with what's been going on. You don't even know. Oh yeah. That's why I want to keep that legislation close to me. Yeah, I do. Even though it's mute in court, doesn't mean anything. They ignore it, act like it doesn't exist when it's convenient for them. You know what they say. Words are power. So before you're too quick to throw out the words, you might want to find a spot where you can keep it handy just in case you need a refresher. And bring that Criminal Code of Canada with you and keep it close by too, right? Okay. So yeah, take down all that silver stuff. Put it away. Tell my son, don't you dare throw it out. At the next location, I'm going to need it because we're going to have a little grow room to grow herbs at least. And maybe a couple of tomato plants and a cucumber plant. Like, come on. Food is expensive. Give your head a shake. Why would you pay $2.50 for freaking parsley when you can grow it for nothing? Except for maybe a bit of hydro. I got everything you could possibly want when it comes to growing it. So, just maybe a new space. That's why we hang on to things, right? So that we can utilize it at a different date without having to pay twice, 3, 4 times as much because we already bought it 5 years ago. Right? So that once that's all right, then I've got a lot of books in there right now because I've been, moving things around. So there's a big stack, a couple of them. So organize them, log them, and just, try and turn that one little area into a homeschool center as a central location where people can come if they want after they book an appointment and pick and choose what they want with it already being priced out and logged. Or it's easy to get to if you want to ship it out in mail, just saying. And then of course the playroom will be turning into a boutique to one degree or another. I mean, it's still going to be the playroom because it's got a lot of homeschool stuff in there. Obviously books, crafts, a sausage maker. But, I mean, as things progress, right, I would think, And then, of course, by that time, I mean, the bedroom itself, quote unquote, will start to clear out. Whether we use it or not remains to be seen. Maybe we'll be getting close to moving out by that time. I don't know. I can't predict the future. All I know is I need something to motivate me to the problem with doing what I'm thinking to do is it's going to take away from the porch in the back. And the weather is getting colder and colder. But I'm so not up to. I'm actually going to go next door and I'm going to see if there's somebody that can come and help me. I'll start with $50. It's not much. I don't have to get too involved with it, but it will be very hard for me to go out there and do it by myself. And with my eyes damaged more than they are now than they were before. And I'm using this other eye drop, which is clearly making my eye hurt, not making it go away, making it more blurry. You know, I don't know what working outside for any length of time by myself for long hours, because it will take longer, right? Would do to my eye because of the weather, because it's cold. So I don't expect anybody to come and help me, even if I offer the money, because, you know, the weather is miserable and they got their own lives. And I mean, if I offered $100 for 2 hours, for sure they'd show up. But I don't have that kind of money, so. I don't know what glasses I were using. So let's just add it onto the bill and see what we get. Because honestly, it would motivate me. Because I have no place for the jars. And I've been wanting to do this for a while now. So if I get these extra jars in, it would be good food. Trust me. Right? And that's not including the deli meat, or, like I said, maybe we'll try sausage. I have to find the box. If I find the box, we can maybe try hot dogs or sausages. If I don't find the box, we can just simply do frickin' deli meat. No, nothing works anymore. I don't even know what one that we were using. This is terrible. That in itself makes you sick. Yeah, here we go. He's a little better. Like I said, Andre is gonna learn how to shop online for me. It gets him reading more too. And then I ask him what the milliliter is, which is volume, or what the gram is, which is weight. Right? And get him talking about pounds and kilograms and yada yada. So everything else is okay. So those are the cheapest of the cheap. Clearly it's going to be fatty. Pork belly, no, we don't want that. $2.99 a pound. Portion club pack, pork side ribs, no, we don't want that. If I have ribs in my freezer, I'll just put them in some water a little bit, just to get myself some broth, just in case I have to can something. If I do this. Pork side rib portion. Why do I keep finding that? Go with the cheapest of the cheap. And when you're on a low ebb, though, you got to be careful. Okay, so we got one of those, and I'm on a very low ebb. Pork shoulder blade combo pack, $4.99 a pound. We've got one of those, and we've got the pork loin half. You do 2 pounds per deli maker container. Pork loin half, boneless, frozen. How fatty is that? Not too fatty. I'll have to think about this. Kind of worn out. $2 a pound though, that's pretty good. And then this pork cut presents itself as a canvas for multiple recipes. Imagine the joy of associated with the first cut into a perfectly roasted loin. Its irresistible aroma filling your dining area, or the comfort of a slow-cooked pork stew on chilly nights. Regardless of your cooking style, this boneless pork loin offers endless opportunity to diversify your meals. Normally they give you the nutrient value on it, but in this case they're not giving you the nutrient value. So I've got one added to it. Well, we can go back and we can look at the pork loin picnic half and read that to see if they have nutrient value on it. This one has a small little bone. Why are they not listing the nutritional value? Because normally they do. Why? We'll do the pork shoulder blade club plaque. We'll see if they're listing the nutrient value on it. I always like to read it. Why are they not listing it? Since when? Hold on a minute. Okay, so I might not be doing this because 2 times I tried to add in those 2 other items that's not on sale. The one for $2.99 a pound, the little picnic things, and that frozen, right? And 2 times I tried to add them into the cart, and 2 times the website's kicking them out. So there's nothing to suggest that they're out of stock or anything like that, outside of they're getting people to think about buying pork, right? And now that they've got me hooked with that one piece of meat that's on sale, right? And if you're someone like me that wants to do what I'm doing, you're just going to say, you're going to be manipulated to buy a different product at a more expensive price, even though they're advertising a product at a lower price, making it available, but when you go to try and add it to your cart, it's not being added in. And if you're impulsive, right, and impatient, right, and you really want it now, well, then you're just going to buy what's on sale, and you're going to go for the more expensive meat to compensate for what you can't buy, because for whatever reason, the system isn't putting it down. And I'm like, you buggers, right? I don't think so. I'm not that desperate. No, I'm not that desperate. So I don't know what their problem is, but they're not adding it in. No. So I will attempt to put it on again, and if it doesn't go on, then I'm not even going to buy that. I'm not going to buy anything. No. I'm not going to pay more money for something when it's being listed for cheaper. What it makes me think of is what YouTube, that's why I turned back on the camera, because YouTube, they really do lead you down the garden path. Stay consistent and, you'll get more activity, more views, more this, more that. Right? And if you're monetized, obviously, supposedly, you're supposed to get more money. Yeah, okay. More subscribers, whatever. I've been consistent with my videos for years, and through that shadow banning process, my channel doesn't go anywhere. I don't think doing live stream, I'd have to do live streams straight for 2 years, I think. Every second day. They wanted me to do them every day. And they said, if you can't do them every day, then at least, because they're trying to give creators suggestions how to build up their channel and become, I guess you could say, successful, right? Then at least every second day. And I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know if I could possibly do that, right? But besides that point, it's enough that I do these videos. And just knowing that I am shadow banned and blah, blah, blah. You know, like now they're coming in with the suggestion that if you're doing live streams and you have, you know, your members, people join, right, to become, for those perks, a new perk that they're suggesting for creators is, oh, just start a public live stream. You run your public live stream, and halfway through the live stream, just switch it over to private. And I'm like, okay, I'm watching so-and-so do their live stream, and then all of a sudden I get locked out because I'm not a member to them. To hell with that. To hell with that. I'd probably just not. I would just end up just not bothering to watch their videos. They'd have to really have me interested in whatever it is that they got to say for me to sign up and become a member, a paying member to that perk where I can slam the door on somebody and say, you're not welcome because you didn't pay. I mean, if that's the strategy that YouTube as a corporation advises for their content creators to utilize in order to be able to make money, and I don't know. That to me, that's just shady. That's just straight up wrong, like morally wrong. Right? Because I'm putting myself in the other person's shoes, sitting there watching a live stream, whether I'm saying something or not, and then just having it go blink, unavailable because you're not a non-paying member. I'd be like, fuck you. Sorry, boo-boo you. Like, you're not that important. It's like my son says, Mom, you're not that important. Don't kid yourself. Well, and I wouldn't do it to my members. If I had any paying members waiting for a perk, that's not a perk I'd want to introduce. This is what I feel like freaking Canadian Superstore is doing. They're providing products where you look through all their products, right? You're looking at the price, you're looking at what it is, whether you got the money to pay extra or whether you're looking for the deal, doesn't matter. You find what you want, you click it on. They're not logging it because they know chances are, now that you're on the hunt, you're going to go for something else, because we're so impulsive as human beings and conditioned to satisfy our wants. They're not needs. I don't need this. I don't need the extra work. I have really no place for the jars outside of it will motivate me to get into the playroom and start doing what I need to do in there. And I'll do it with I don't want to say with glee, happy, glee, that kind of I finally have a reason to really get down and dirty and start pulling everything out, even though I don't know where I'm going to put it. And it might be a heat score with the social workers. Well, now that's a new pile of shit. What is that? We told you not to back up the, blah. And I'll be, yeah, but I took that out of the playroom. And that's homeschool shit. Do you know anybody that needs it? That's willing to give me a bit of money? Because otherwise I ain't giving it away. I'm not going to throw it out in the street, just not yet. I have a grandson that can make some money off of it if nobody wants to, make it easy on me. But doesn't give you the right to take it away from me. So, but if I got jars to put in there and I got it all in my head on my little shelf with this and this and this on it, I get excited. I'm a little happy to do it now, right? I don't care. I'll deal with the riffraff after the fact, because there's a whole stack of shit in there that's all related to homeschool kid stuff. Some of that stuff Tisha could benefit from, but she relying on the school system to do everything for her, minus the few things that she does at home. So she'll take a big thing of crafts, but when it comes to the reading programs and the grade one, kindergarten, grade 1, grade 2, I'll show you when we get in there. I'll show you, right? She's not interested in that. Technically, I should be saving it from Arcane and Marina, but then I'm hiding it like a damn dirty secret, right? Because it's taking up space. They don't realize that when they have their little 3 and 4 and 5-year-old, it might come in handy. And that's when Marcane will be like, oh, I remember that. Mom had that when I was 5 years old. Marina will be like, really? Yeah. Well, that's old, exactly, and you'll never find it again. And chances are it will be better than what you're finding in today's terms. Yeah. So, I'm always in a dilemma, right? So, well, but it will motivate me, but they're being shady. They're doing what is that called? Bait and switch. YouTube is trying to bait and switch content creators to trick their subscribers or non-subscribers, their viewers in general, to sign up so that the company can make money before the content creator, unless of course unless the company wants to pimp you out. You know, be that YouTube bitch. Give us what we want and we'll send the traffic your way. And yeah, you might get a good income out of it. Otherwise, you're like me. You're pumping out the videos, but you're not going anywhere with them except for a bunch of mind effery when it comes to monetization, because they still want me to verify my address, even though they damn well know Canada on a national level is in a freaking postal strike. And now they're bringing in rolling strikes. So your mail comes in sporadically. I got one piece of mail from CIBC Bank saying that it's going to change something, probably end up costing me more money. Who knows? Because, you know, all the interest rates are starting to go up on things. Notice how we're not getting our mail, but our interest rates are going up on our credit cards, but we're not. If you depend on like your bank, like your statements, your credit card whatever, which I like, right? I don't do online that stuff. You know, you can't compare your interest rates between your statements because you're not even getting your mail, and the one thing you get is not what you're waiting for, because whatever YouTube sent me is stuck in mail because of the postal strike. As they're telling me the clock is ticking, that if I don't put in my PIN that they sent me in the mail to verify my address, even though my address is on my ID card, which I went and got for them, right, because my other one was not, wasn't up to date. So brand new ID card with the address and everything. They want this PIN, and they say if you don't send it in within X amount of time, whatever you've done will be null and void, and you won't be monetized anymore. And I'm like, just roll with it, Judy. Just roll with it, because if they're asking you to do live streams and then cutting off people right in the middle of it because they're not a paying member, what does that say about you as a person? Clearly, that all you want is the money, right? That's the only reason you'd be doing it, so that you can sucker somebody into signing up, so they can hear the rest of the live and feel like they belong to something. You understand what I'm saying? And that to me is morally wrong. And that's the company, YouTube, as a corporation, taking advantage of their content creators, because it's so easy for the inner workings, the ones that run the servers, to sit there and tweak the HTML source code, and you will be determined as to whether you're going to be successful or not based on what the ones that are tweaking the boards make for you. In terms of, you will either be shadow banned or you won't. And then once you're shadow banned, all these other people that do videos on advice of this and advice on how to, get more subscribers or get more or whatever, they say once you're shadow banned, you might as well kiss your channel goodbye. Right? What does that say about my channel? But yet they're telling me to start a live stream and then cut everybody off right in the middle of it because they're a non-paying member. Yeah, okay, that seems like extortion to me. That's moral, and what's going on with this freaking pork situation? Because after this last little bit with this brisket, teeny little piece of meat for $43. I'm thinking it came in at $7 or $6.99 a pound, when in fact it was posted at $11.99. How do we know it wasn't a switcheroo? Because it says they can switch things around. Prices are subject to change. Yeah, okay, sure. So if I can't get what I want at $3 or $2.99 a pound, Okay, I'm going to try it again. They're right here. Yeah, pork loin half, boneless, frozen. I'm going to add it on. Could be just a glitch. It says 1. Oh, my number changed. Okay, 66.77 now versus 52 something. Okay, that's good. And then we want pork picnic halves. Because all it is creating work for me. As if I need it like a hole in the head, because I don't. But I don't mind experimenting with the making deli meat again. I really don't. Oh yeah, you see? That didn't change. That didn't change. The number didn't change. I don't think it changed. And then what happens if I order... Okay, so here we go. We got the pork shoulder blade club pack 1 at $11.23. That's what's on sale. And then we've got the pork loin half boneless frozen, which is $3 a pound, $16. Okay, right? They're not adding in those shoulder pork picnic things. They're not adding that in. And then I've got the couple of heat things for Andre, basically. Right. I might try one of those heating pads under my feet, because obviously my feet get real sore, right? But it's not anything that I want to be using all the time because it costs money. I told Andre, you know what? After we get all more organized, we're going to make our own Slavs with canine pepper. Nana's got the beeswax. I've got the jars. I've got the cocoa butters. I bought all that for crafts and, well, you know, to make Slavs and stuff, right? And I've got tons of canine pepper. You can make your own rub, right? You can do comfrey. Comfrey is if you have like scratches and wounds and those kind of things, right? You can put that on, and a little bit of muscle ache, that would be good for you as well, right? With comfrey Slav, right? I've got comfrey growing in my yard. I've got comfrey. You don't necessarily eat it because it's not good for the liver in high concentration, right? You can sprinkle a little bit into food, but you know, there's different types of comfrey. Okay, I'm just saying. And I want to do that. I want to make that. That was the stuff that would have been going out the door. Okay, so to keep it simple, I could order 2 pork shoulder blade club pack. But I could pick something different too. But either or, if I do this. So now it's at $22.46 and get the 1 frozen. That should be more than enough to make pork deli meat with or without nitrates. And I don't think it would be... let's see how many quick approximate pounds. So $4.99 a pound. So 4, 8, 12, it's almost 3 pounds per pack. Well, yeah, because it says 14, so it'd be about 3 pounds per pack. So 6 pounds plus, what was it, 5 pounds? That'd be 11 pounds worth of meat. And if you're only making 2 ham things, 2 deli meats, that's only 4 pounds. So you still got 6 pounds of something. So in that situation, I would just grind it up, whether hand manually, which is easier than bringing out a box and reading the directions and how to use because I can't find my old school grinder yet. I'm hoping it's in the playroom. I'm so hoping it's in the playroom. Because if it's not in the playroom, then that means that bitch freaking stole it. Yeah, because she watched my videos. She's seen what it was like. She likes my appliances. I gave her appliances before. T-shirt told her, oh, she uses your appliances every day. So yeah, if she found an appliance that she already knows about, and she thought she could scoop up on it, being she was a smash and grab thief, I could see her walking off with the container, because I have not found the container yet, and I'm choked. So maybe it's in the playroom. And then I'd use this opportunity as a means to put my sight on the playroom and start working on the boutique. Because I have costumes that I have to continue washing. When I brought up a whole bunch from downstairs, I washed, I'd say, the majority of it, but some of them I haven't washed. Some are missing. I'm hoping they're in the closet in the playroom, because if they're not, I'll be like extremely sad and disappointed and angry. But people have been stealing off of me for years, so that's just a reality. But I won't know until I get into the closet and pull that stuff out, but I ain't going to do that until I get out some of the craft stuff in that room. And what I plan on doing is bringing out the homeschool stuff, the craft stuff from that room as I put in clothes, costumes, and fabrics for sale for the most part, as I organize those things elsewhere in its own section, I guess you can say, which would be up more towards the front. And I'm working on trying to clear out the bedroom, but that's not going to happen until I liquidate something. It would be nice to be able to get in there and use that computer. I got 2 computers in there, ready to go. I reformatted the XP. I paid money to reformat that thing. I bought the XP on purpose for my CDs and everything. And then I had it reformatted. I just never got a chance to get in there and install programs, probably kid programs, or I have like whatever, just piano, it doesn't matter, just older CDs that work better with XPs and Windows 7s, right? This is a Windows 7. This is a Windows 7. That one over there needs to be reformatted because it has an illegal Windows 10 in it, and I don't like it, so at some point I'll take that one in. But it's got a very large hard drive in terms of 900 and some odd gigabytes, which is good. The one at the end of the table is a Windows 7, but it already has programs in it where we're going to, you can type out and save it on it and come to the printer and print out. What else in there? I don't know. I just know it has other, because it used to belong to MCC thrift store, and it was a computer that they used for whatever they were doing in the store. So it already has programs installed in it, but that one I want to put a couple of Reader Rabbits and that type of thing into it for AMA and Kyrie. But, it's just congestion. So, one day at a time. That's all you can do. So, with that said, my bill is $78, cheap on the cheap. Okay? We got the hot relief patch, 6 patches at $8.99. I'll buy 2. Andre's in rough shape. And I wanted to try it on my bottom of my feet just to see what would happen. So I'll buy 2. Extra strength. It's a cream, for whatever. $17.49. It was on sale, but I missed the sale. But I told him I'll buy it anyway. And then there's a oil absorbent roller, because I pulled out an old roller with the liniment in it from way back in the day, and I said, let's try this, Andre, right? And it had a little sponge on it. They don't sell it, but he can go to Shoppers Drug Mart and buy one, and I told him he can do that, or I can order one online from Amazon, which I might do. So I thought I'd try this one. That's $13. And then the pork shoulder blade club pack on sale, which I would save $7 in that case, is $22.46. And then the pork loin half boneless frozen, assuming that I get it at $3 a pound for $16. With that extra heat patch, it's at 86 bucks. Usually when I do stuff like this, I kind of give myself a $100 limit just for the sake of it. So now I'm going to be like, okay, well, as far as I know, well, I probably could pick up one more milk and maybe a couple of yogurts or something and just call it a day. But do I really want to be messing around with fatty pork and canning again, or making sausages or grinding meat? But what it does is it puts that mental thought in my head to get into the playroom, clear out that one corner, and get that shelf up. It's a metal shelf, it's in a box, it's outside, I know where it is. And put my jars on there, at least for now. Because I can always take the jars out later and then put other things in there as it turns more and more into a boutique, right? But for now I can just put the jars there and start tackling that issue in terms of organizing it. Yeah, and that would motivate me a lot to do this. It would. Because it's a progression, right? Okay, so I don't know what this doctor did to my eye, but he really messed it up bad. So another detour. Instead of buying that pork, I decided not to because I'm honestly getting tired of this. This is the rest of that lamb that was in the pot with the bones, and I have a little bit of the broth from that, and it's gelatized, so that's good. It has collagen in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to divide. I got 12 jars here anyway. 250 mil. I'm going to fill them up halfway, and then I'm going to fill them up with the broth, and then I'm going to can them in the pressure canner for 75 minutes and call it a day. So most of that came from the bones that I bought, right? Not from the leg, of the lamb that right? So there's a fair amount of meat in there, and then this was the bones. You can see what's going on here, right? So that's pretty good. Now, lamb is very, oh my God. I find just taking your hands and using your fingers to try and get that stuff out is the best, so hold on. Okay, so basically what I did is I divided everything as best as I can, okay? And that little bit of fat that I took off, which was, because I'd already degreased it, right? So I just tablespooned it in, divided into this. I put a half a teaspoon of that. I thought it was Himalayan sea salt, and by the time I realized what it was, I just finished it that way. So not a half a teaspoon, it was a quarter of a teaspoon, right? Into each jar, 250 size mil. And I am boiling water now. You can see, I'm going to boil it for about, 10 minutes or so. Just boil it down. And then I'm just going to top off these jars just at about a 1-inch headspace, because lamb is greasy. And that's the way it's going to be. And it's really tasty. Okay, so I'm going to do these two as well. I'm going to recan them. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take that out, take off the grease, put them in there, wash the jars again, get new lids, right? And yeah, that's what I'm going to do. So hold on. Okay, it tastes very, very good. I took off that layer of grease, threw it out. Okay, I'm going to recan these. No, I'm going to wash this jar, but I'm going to leave this one, and I'm just going to wipe the rim again. Very good. As you can see, there's gelatin in this, right? So that's really good. So hold on. Okay, so now we're going to render this lard from the lamb. As we're doing this, Just venting. This thing was making weird noises. I hate that when that happens. This satisfies my need to buy anything. Not doing no pork. No. I don't think so. God, my nerves are so frazzled. I keep hearing, I don't know if the jars are like popping in there before I even start, or, you know, this is an old stove, right? So when it heats up, the metal starts to groan. Right. I got that little burner on, right along with this burner. 75 minutes. Right? Oh, now it's whistling. Oh my God. So it's 115 minutes on the stove. Yeah. What do you want from me? Why are you showing me this? Okay. Okay, so while we wait for another 57 minutes, already labeled up the jars, right? We've got 2 more. Hopefully they'll seal. They're in there, so that's 24, and another 12, that's 36 jars of lamb, not including what Amari ate. Now these, I have 4 of these, because I want to make little sourdough bowls, right? 2 for down, 2 for up. That's what I was thinking when I bought them, you know. Is this? I guess it is what it is. So, you know, I got to stand here anyway, right? So I'm going to see if I can make, with these paper bags from Walmart, a lining for them. This time a little different size, right? But I'm not sure what size, so we're going to try, I suppose, 2 sizes first. I think this one would be too small. I'm not too sure. So what we'll do, I save these things for maybe a craft. I saw pull those off later. What's the best way of dealing with this? Well, I think what we need to do is figure out the size first. So to keep it simple on myself, I'm just going to do this size first, by 2, see if it fits in there. Because if it fits in there, then that's the size that we're going to cut a whole bunch of these. I just want to get rid of these bags. Right? Without just having to do whatever. So we'll cut this off. So let me cut it off and I'll be back. I'd say that's pretty close. Don't you think? Maybe? Right? In terms of just keep it simple, right? Okay, so now it's done. Those 2 jars, they cracked. That's what I was hearing in the counter. Well, I thought so. I was wondering about that. I think they were just too cold when I put them in there and turned on the heat. Yeah, I didn't give them enough time to warm up. Oh well. They just weren't meant to be. So anyway, those 12, I don't know. We'll have to give them time to cool down to see if they seal. That's the grease, right? Which is nice and clear, you can see. Not much, but for what I can see, that's what I got off. The crackling is really good. I've been eating it.